like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have bad luck for the rest of the week.
The Megalodon is the largest known predator in Earth's history, and during its reign, it was always on the top of the food chain. But that doesn't mean that Meg didn't have any enemies. Other marine predators were ready to go tooth to tooth and fin to fin with the apex predator. And in this video, we will be checking out 10 of them. Number 10, the Brygmophyseter. Not all whales are gentle giants like our modern-day blue whales. Some feed on other whales and sharks alike, and the Brygmophyseter is one of that kind. From a single, almost complete skeleton, we know they belonged among the megatooth whales that lived around 14 million years ago, right in the middle of the long reign of Megalodons. Since the Megalodons terrorized all the 7 seas, it's no doubt that these two would have locked teeth once in a while. They would have competed for food like seals, cephalopods, whales, and other large marine mammals, which they both considered to be delicacies. But with a mere 23 feet long, the Brygmophyseter was dwarfed by the Megalodons in all proportions. What they lacked in size, however, they complemented with teamwork. The Brygmophyseter, like their modern relatives the killer whales, hunted in groups known as pods with at least 5 to 6 members in each one. A single Brygmophyseter was equipped with strong 12-row munchers powered by a skull nearly 5 feet long. Expand that by 6 times, and that's what a single Megalodon had to deal with each time they met. Number 9, plesiosaurs. Look, when I think of scary, I think of large teeth, a jaw that can grind a small plane, and huge, menacing eyes. I generally don't think of a lumbering, long-necked, turtle-like creature that looks like it could smother just about anything to death. Regardless of this, fear is the overwhelming emotion people feel when they see the plesiosaur. The animal lived over 130 million years ago and looked like something from the imagination of a disturbed child. If you think the plesiosaurs looks like the Loch Ness Monster, you're not wrong. In fact, this animal served as the inspiration of the Loch Ness Monster, and its unique anatomy means that it's the subject of a lot of controversy in the scientific community. When Mary Anning, a renowned paleontologist, first discovered the bones of this prehistoric sea creature, people said that she had forged it. Why? They simply could not believe that such an animal could exist. But she was right, and other fossils proved it. Number 8, Thalassomiodon. One of the greatest matchups in the history of the world is the one that never happened. The Thalassomiodon is a genus of plesiosaur and is arguably the creepiest looking sea monster you'll ever see. It grew to a length of about 35 feet, with 19 of those feet being its neck. This sea monster was basically shaped like a tortoise with a neck the size of a small bus. Sadly for us, and perhaps fortunately for it, it existed in the late Cretaceous era and would have been dead for several millions of years before the Megalodon would rule the sea. Perhaps if the Thalassomiodon were alive, the Meg would never have risen. We'll simply never know. Number 7, the basking shark. The basking shark is the second largest living shark in the world, and it can reach up to lengths of 27 feet. The shark is found in all of the world's temperate oceans, and this is a slow-moving filter feeder. This means that it has a habit of feeding at the surface and mostly eats plankton. The shark appeared in the world's oceans around the Miocene era, and it's possible that it may have prowled the same oceans as the giant Meg. If this did happen, a basking shark would have certainly proved to be a huge problem for the Meg. However, since the basking shark doesn't prey on the lunch of the Meg, and since it's probably way too big for the Meg to eat, the animal might have been left alone. If these two animals did exist together, it's hard to imagine that they would have been at each other's throats, but never say never. Number 6, the Otis shark. Not in a flash did the Megalodon become huge. It took them millions of years while changing ancestry and dimensions to attain the size we know they had. Among their immediate ancestors was the Otis shark. that terrified the sea between 5 and 23 million years ago. Their fossils have been found from Africa to Europe and Asia to North America, telling us how wide they traveled, but because their skeleton was filled with cartilage, only a few of their bones were preserved. Regardless, their tooth was no pushover. They most likely devoured large marine mammals with it. Depending on who you ask, the Megalodons were either a direct descendant of the Otis shark, or rather belonged to the final chronospecies of the Otis genus. In English, the Otis shark grew bigger over the years until they culminated in Megalodons. At some point, the Megalodons would have prowled the ocean alongside their immediate forebears, who were of relative size, so Otis sharks would have gone fin to fin with the mighty Megalodons as their first rival ever. Of course, we know who won: the Megs. Number 5. Leplorodon. The Leplorodon was precisely the stuff of nightmares. It was a huge monster that reached up to 36 feet long, was carnivorous, and had the aggressiveness and ruthlessness of a dinosaur. It was simply a Tyrannosaurus rex that could swim, like many prehistoric animals discovered in the 19th century. Leplorodon was named on the basis of a very scanty fossil evidence, with exactly 3 teeth, each of them almost 3 inches long. Leplorodon was an aquatic predator with 4 paddle-like fins and an enormous pair of jaws. It used to hunt down creatures even bigger than its own size and would eat anything in size. It is believed that Leplorodon had a bigger appetite than most other sea monsters. Its fossils date back to around 160 million years ago. Number 4. The Brygmophyseter. Strong enough to tackle a megalodon, but size was the Brygmophyseter's major disadvantage. They're 20 feet shorter of that when compared to a megalodon. But just like the Brygmophyseters, their hunting pattern, sheer will, and teamwork would have made an encounter with a lone megalodon a fair fight. They also had strong bony outgrowths between their upper and lower jaws, like a living killer whale. That, plus the 28 rows of teeth equipping both of their jaws, were believed to have increased their bite force. With all of that, they had a higher chance of surviving a head-on collision with a fully grown megalodon when compared to their close relatives, the Brygmophyseter. If they're many, they could have even overpowered a megalodon, but that guy is just too formidable and built for the kill. So their success rate is quite low. On second thought, we think a pod of Brygmophyseters would have made it out alive. Because, like all sperm whales, what if they had a spermaceti organ? If yes, that means they might have had bisonar capabilities, thus increasing their chances a tiny bit. Number 3. Ichthyosaurus. Ichthyosaurus are large, dolphin-like marine reptiles that thrived during much of the Mesozoic era. They first appeared around 250 million years ago, and at least one species survived until about 90 million years ago into the late Cretaceous period, giving a high probability that they swam in the same waters as the Megalodon. Although reptiles, Ichthyosaurus resembled both modern fish and dolphins. Their limbs had been fully transformed into flippers, which sometimes contained a very large number of digits and phalanges. At least some species possessed a dorsal fin. Their heads were pointed, and their jaws were often equipped with conical teeth that could help catch smaller prey. There are many species of ichthyosaurs, some small, some large. We're going to focus on the large of the bunch, which incidentally existed right about the same time as the Megalodon. I'm thinking about the undisputed largest marine reptile to have ever lived, the Shastasaurus, the largest of which is a whopping 69 feet long. Shastasaurus has one of the most specialized mouths. It's theorized that Megalodon preyed on Shastasaurus, but probably just the smaller ones, because a full-grown 70-foot Shastasaur would definitely be more than a mouthful for the Megalodon, even without teeth. Number 2. Massasaurus. This huge lizard-like and still oddly crocodile-like animal lived about 66 million years ago. This animal may look tiny in pictures and books, but it reached an amazing and simply unthinkable length of 58 feet. With jaws like that, this animal was a terror to everything that it came across. Scientists believe that this animal would have eaten literally anything that it came across. This includes fish of all sizes, and may have included the meg as well. Sadly, when the Massasaurus was ruling the waters, the meg hadn't evolved to become the meg. If these two hegemons of the sea had existed in the same time period, who knows what would have happened? Perhaps the meg would have made the Massasaurus its lunch. But seeing the Massasaurus is a huge animal with a very powerful jaw, perhaps the opposite could have happened. We cannot say for sure. Number 1. Tylosaurus. Scary looking doesn't even start to describe this gigantic sea monster. The Tylosaurus takes its name from its elongated snout that terrifies even the most rugged sea animals. Unlike other animals of its size, the Tylosaurus did not have teeth throughout its whole mouth. This, of course, added to a weird twist on an already scary snout. However, the truly scary thing about the animal wasn't its mouth, even though this was definitely scary. The size of it was genuinely mind-boggling, and the Tylosaurus could reach lengths of about 46 feet, which is as long as 3 school buses combined. At this point, it's safe to say that this monster was no joke. It was no joke at all. That's why the Meg should have been glad that they didn't have the opportunity to clash. Since they lived in different eras, and the Tylosaurus was long dead before the Meg even thought of appearing, both animals never had the opportunity to compete together, and we have a sinking feeling that both animals preferred it that way. Which one of these marine animals do you think could defeat the Megalodon in a fight? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.